Maximum city that came to a standstill yet again. In fact, every year since 2019, India's financial capital nightmare seems to compound. Today, yet again, at least 50 flights were cancelled, several others diverted, train services were hit. In fact, some of the train services at crucial routes like South Mumbai to Thane were suspended for hours due to waterlogging. Peak hours in the morning, buses were diverted or cancelled from Mumbai to Navi Mumbai. Road travel was sailing through a river, almost. The stark visuals that almost seem on a repeat mode year on year. Yes, it was record rainfall, but record rainfall yet again. Let me explain. Today was Mumbai's second highest July day rain of 268 millimeters in a decade, breaking the 2019 record of highest single day rainfall in July, 375.2 mm. And of course, 2005, where Mumbai witnessed the all-time highest rainfall for a July day. But allow me to do a comparison for just the last 6 years. Look at this. Every single year, since 2019, trains, flights have been cancelled. Roads have turned into rivers. Commuters have faced nightmares, reaching work or returning home, turning short of a feat achieved. Simply put, no lessons learned. September 2019, record highest rainfall in September. Flooding, traffic pile-up, trains cancelled. August 2020, highest rainfall since 1983. Uncommon flooding in South Mumbai is what the headlines read. Yet again, roads, railways affected, local train services take a hit. Roads turned into rivers. 2021, Mumbai witnessed its wettest July ever. 2021, wettest July ever. Flooding and disruptions across cities. Landslides, building collapses, train services suspended. Another year, same story. 2022. Record rainfall despite El Nino. July marked all-time high at 1,770 mm. Flooding in low-lying areas, building collapsing, local train services disrupted. Then another year, July 1st to 29th, 2023. Average monthly rainfall surpassed all records. Wettest July ever was the headlines. This is yet another year. Remember this. We're trying to bring this out. Record rainfall is not unusual anymore. Roads, railways, local train services affected all over again in 2024. We have already explained the story to you. Let's listen in to some reactions of people on the ground, the Mumbaikars who've been paying the price.
ट्रैफिक पूरा भरा हुआ है, पानी काफी ज्यादा, रात को बारिश हुआ है। हर साल इसी तरह होता है। क्या है कि अब साफ सफाई नहीं होगा, गटर जाम होंगे तो पानी तो लगेगा ही।
अभी दादर से आ रहा हूँ। दादर से आते आते ये जो ईस्टर्न एक्सप्रेस हाईवे, यहाँ पर अभी सायन स्टेशन के ऊपर का ब्रिज, उसपे बहुत से बहुत खड्डे सब लगे हुए हैं। तो अभी एक्सीडेंट होते होते भी बच गया। अगर स्पीड में आदमी आ रहा है 60-70 के स्पीड में और उसमें से अचानक खड्डा आए तो आदमी बचाएगा कैसा? ब्रेक दबा तो पीछे का ठोक देगा। और यहाँ पर देखो पीछे भी आपके पानी जमा है। एक ही दिन के बारिश में लोग बोल रहे थे 1 महीना हो गया, बारिश गिरने का नाम नहीं है। और गिरा तो ऐसा गिरा कि बस
मैं जहाँ से आ रहा हूँ तो पूरे खड्डे हर जगह पे मिले जा रहे हैं। और समझो कि अगर बाइक वगैरह है तो उसके लिए तो बहुत मुश्किल वाली बात हो गई। अगर ये बड़ी गाड़ी है तो निकल जाएगी, छोटी गाड़ी नहीं निकल सकती।
Amid heavy downpour, prime locations of Mumbai have been submerged in water. The ground report we are showing you from Bandra sea link, and here in the visuals as shown by video journalist Sachin Neeram, one can see knee-deep water has been accumulated here, and the waterlogging could be clearly seen in few hours of rain. In fact, one can see how vehicles are taking their tires out of it, and this entire place is being seen inundated. In fact, the IMD has also predicted that torrential rain would be taking for next 3 hours to Mumbai, but this is important to see that IMD has sounded yellow alert, and after which orange alert has been given to adjacent areas of Mumbai. But with this, what we also understand is that Mumbai has received 300 mm of rainfall, which is the highest in last 5 years. Alongside, we are seeing you the civic bodies' claims have been falling flat since morning. There have been several reports of waterlogging, and here we are showing you the ground reality from prime location Bandra. One can see how tedious it is for the vehicles to pass by from such heavy waterlogged place, and it is important to see that the IMD has predicted that for next few days Mumbai is going to get heavy rainfall.
As I said, Mumbaikars paying the price. But do we know what's the cost for India's maximum city, financial capital, coming to a standstill? That's not something many speak about. The monsoon can have a significant economic impact on Mumbai, particularly on industries like agriculture, tourism and construction. Crop damage, reduced tourist inflow and delays in construction projects can lead to financial losses for businesses and individuals alike. India's average losses due to multi-hazard disasters are worth around $9.8 billion US, of which $7.4 billion is the loss due to floods alone. And let's look at some reports. McKinsey Global Institute's 2020 study says $920 billion in damage due to sea level rise and flooding. That's on your screen. 2005 to 2015, 14,000 crore rupees losses were incurred. Study by US Trade Development Agency states that June 25, 2005, torrential rain and flooding in Mumbai, $1.7 billion, $1.7 billion in damages. Over 1,000 people died. In fact, an expert study by OECD says Mumbai is going to be a state with the largest population that is exposed to climate impact by 2070s. Economic loss in India due to floods is estimated to be up to 15,000 crore rupees. Economic losses due to floods is estimated to be up to 15,000 crore rupees in India. In fact, the protection gap, and that's an important term I'm using, it's not a commonly used term, and I'll explain that. The protection gap figure is at 92%. Simply put, according to an SBI report, losses that are insured or are covered under insurance for an individual, for one individual on an average in India, is just 8% of what may be required to protect a family from financial shock for the loss of a breadwinner. If this is what is at stake year on year, can Mumbai's story afford to be the same? We're going to find answers, and we are going to try and make people accountable. I'm being joined today by Asif Bamla, who is a leader of the BJP, Rakesh Shetty, who is a spokesperson for the Congress, Dr. Sudhir Krishna, who is a former secretary for Ministry of Urban Development, Dr. Neville Mehta, who is a former CEO Mumbai First, and Sunil Alag. We will eventually meet him and we will ask him for some reactions. But first, let me go to you, Dr. Neville Mehta. With what we have spoken right now, with what we have spoken at this point, how do you look at what's the cost really? What's the cost that Mumbai is looking at? I mean, just look at today. and look at the last 6 years. Every year, it's the same story playing out. Doesn't this, I mean, we seem to not even have crossed the line of being worried about it. You know what I mean to say? All we say is, oh, Mumbai is submerged again. But it's a repeat story. Dr. Neville Mehta.
Thank you for having me on the show. But as you rightly said, it's an old story. All the same excuses come back in different ways and different means. We are just talking about the economic loss, but we are not talking about the social loss that people have to face. The loss of their livelihood, the loss of their family, the stress that they go through, getting to work and getting out of work. All these ancillary points have not even been taken into account. This is, again, as I said, due to the docile and tolerant citizenship of our country. And of course, the politicians and people in power who do not have the will or the inclination to make a change, to make it effective, and to stick to the promises made year after year. If this happens, I mean, I feel there is no return. And most importantly is that in our country, we haven't taken the government to court. I mean, it's time now that people sue the BMC and sue the people in the power of authority who are responsible to provide these services, make them accountable, and make them stand up in the court and ask them, why have they not performed their duties in spite of we paying taxes in full? I mean, where is the money going? Why is the money going? There has to be an audit done, and people who have actually not complied and who have been lackadaisical and not performed their duties, or maybe even corrupt in their proceedings and the way they have conducted themselves, have to be dragged up to court and be made to pay. Until unless we do not get this done, until unless we do not get this impact assessment and evaluation done, this will be the same story year after year. We will be told the same thing. We will be given the same excuses, you know. So it's not going to change. It has to. We have to make the change. We need to get more vocal. We need to get
all right, Dr. Neville,
more aggressive.
Okay, I mean, look at it. The challenge really for us is between becoming vocal and aggressive and just be able to go on with our lives, daily chores. That's literally the story of a Mumbaikar. And now if I can ask you, Asif Bamla, why don't you come in at this point? I know I'm also being joined by Professor Anjul Prakash at this point. I'll just come to you in a bit, sir. Thank you for joining us. Asif Bamla, you're an environmentalist. First, before you turn to politician. But my question really at this point is, Mr. Asif Bamla, look at what eminent citizens like Dr. Neville have spoken. They're saying just one thing. There's no political accountability. What would you say to that?
No, I certainly agree with what Dr. Neville says. And let me also tell you, I mean, let me of course begin that finally Mumbai gets its first, spill of super heavy rain. And certainly it's, I mean, this has been the experience of Mumbaikars, unfortunately, years after years after years. Now, coming back to referring me as a spokesperson for the party, I would like to submit that immediately after the Lok Sabha elections, the party had put a resolution that all the elected representatives, former corporators, should visit and inspect the drainage cleaning work. And on the second day post Lok Sabha election, this was done. At the same time, we had pointed out that the figures given by the contractors are fraudulent. And that's not done now. It was done then only. And Mumbaikars were suffering due to the laxity of the Mumbai Corporation. And at the same time, from the past 25 years, the Shiv Sena has been in power. So the contractors who have been there the corruption level has been happening from that time. Of course, now there is no party which is in power, but of course the administrator is there, and of course they're looking after this. But this is not a problem that can be solved in a year or two. This has been happening from the past 25 years, and we have been saying this even when the Sena mayors were in power, the standing committee was in power, that there has been laxity on the part of the corporation, the contractors, the contracts given. So, I mean, here I'm not trying to push the buck. Of course, the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister, both. If you see Mr. Devendra Fadnavis has today also taken this issue in the floor of the House. And of course, they are on the toes, and of course you saw the Chief Minister also visiting the corporation and taking stock of whatever is happening, and wherever there is water accumulation, that is being addressed. The railways, there's been water clogging on a lot of areas. Of course, water cloggings are there in railways, like in areas like Chunabhatti, Harbour Line, Western Railway. All that is being addressed because, of course, you know, the railways work, they have their own agencies, the Mahanagarpalika. So all that has to be clubbed together to ensure that there is no loss of damage. And of course, with the orange alert, the Honourable CM and the Deputy CM has also instructed the people to please not leave the houses.
Mr. Asif Bamla, one question and I'll give you 40 seconds. You said this is not a problem that will be solved or can be solved in 2 to 3 years. You said this problem has been going on since 20 years. Can you tell us how many years do you want to sort this problem out?
25 years.
You want 25 years to sort this problem out? No, my question is,
I mean, of course, the Sena was in power for the past 25 years. This is not a problem
that can be sorted in 2 to 3 years. No, hold on. I think there is a delay and that's why our voices are overlapping. But my question is, you are saying it's going to be, it's not 2 to 3 years is not enough to sort this problem out. I disagree outrightly. But then what's your time frame? How long is this going to take?
I mean, to sort it, of course, when there's a political will, then there is certainly no issue at all. But the only problem is that the laxity is from the behalf of the corporation. Today, it's not that the BJP is in power in the corporation in Mumbai Mahanagarpalika. It is run by an administrator. But of the 25 years, the wrong contractors who have been given the contracts, who have been relentlessly from the past 25 years, been shamelessly involved into corruption, and so many of them are also been put behind bars. But still, all that also has to be changed. Now, again, it's the court's hearing on account of it. There's no corporation elections being held. We are, of course, proposing that there should be an election, there should be elected representatives. But having said that also, we certainly sympathize with the situation
right? But can I just go across to Rakesh Shetty right now? Rakesh Shetty, richest municipal body.
After paying so much of
Mr. Rakesh Shetty, the richest municipal body is what we are really talking about.
I certainly endorse my support for the Mumbaikars.
And yet, look at the situation of Mumbai. The richest municipal body, not only in India, we are even looking in countries in Asia. Incomparable. No elections, no accountability. Year on year, Mumbai submerged, flooded, inundated. Regular, normal headlines, so much so that some are even saying what to do new in it. This is an everyday story, every year story. How does one come to terms with this in the financial capital?
Eknath Shinde, when he came to power with alliance with BJP, he had promised Mumbaikars that there will be a pothole-free and flood-free Mumbai. Today, Mumbai has been stranded. This is a deceptive act, nexus between BMC contractors, dalals and politicians is clearly visible. MCGM's annual budget is not merry, it is 52,619 crores. And very recently, Chief Minister himself had gone down, checked the nalas and awarded the contractors 300 crores for cleaning the nalas. Where is the money gone? Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis and Chief Minister Eknath Shinde ji purposely are delaying BMC corporation election. Previously, we had 236 corporators, standing committee and mayor. Now, only one man, one
hold on. If I can have Mr. Bamla and Mr. Rakesh. Mr. Bamla is saying we are proposing that the elections must happen. Mr. Rakesh is saying we want the elections as soon as happening. Both of you are on the show, both of you from rival parties. BMC does elections are not on yet. Before I go to the other civil voice here, sir, please tell me what is stopping Mumbai from having the elections?
It is very clear that Bharatiya Janata Party is reluctant. They don't want corporation elections to happen. And now it is very convenient for Bamla to say that last 30 years there was corruption. Let me just remind him, Bharatiya Janata Party and Shiv Sena jointly used to run BMC from last 30 years. If they are putting fingers towards Shiv Sena, so equally Bharatiya Janata Party is responsible for that. They can't just shy away. And 2.5 years back, when Eknath Shinde sworn in as Chief Minister, he had promised that the entire Mumbai city will be a world-class city. All this dambar roads will be turned into cement roads.
Okay, Mr. Rakesh Shetty. 1 minute to Asif Bamla before I go to the other panelists. Asif Bamla, you have a minute. Please respond. You said we are proposing elections. You have an open challenge from Mr. Rakesh. They are saying you're thwarting it. The promises are falling like pack of cards.
Let me tell you that... let me tell you that Mumbai is definitely working to an international city, and all international cities also on natural calamities do face such issues. We've seen cities like...
No, sir, but the point is this. No,
we have seen world-class cities like Dubai, like Saudi, everybody.
Mr. Bamla, you are making an important point.
Like Dubai, like Saudi.
Mr. Bamla, you're making an important point, and that's why I'm coming back to you on this.
We're running away from this responsibility.
Mr. Bamla, natural calamities, yes. But then are you saying since 2019 till 2020, I'm not even going before that. I'm not going to 2005. I'm not going to 2004. I'm not going to 2010. I'm not going to 2011.
My friend from the Congress I'm answering him.
Are you saying every year we are having a natural calamity and that's why this is happening?
2014, Devendra Fadnavis.
Let me tell you this. I'm answering my friend. Now let him put his fader down. When you want me to speak, you have him to speak. How do I submit myself? Let me tell you that...
No, I'm not going to put anyone down, but you may continue to speak. Mr. Bamla, go ahead.
From last 25 years.
No, he's not.
Mr. Rakesh, please hold it. Mr. Rakesh, please hold it. I've been giving you the time. Let Mr. Bamla speak. Hold on. All of you, please speak. Mr. Bamla, go ahead. Make your point, please. Go ahead.
Mumbai is certainly moving towards a world-class city. That is no doubt about it. These calamities, even in world's biggest and greatest cities like Dubai, or even for that matter in European cities also, when there's a natural situation, this is not addressed, and that doesn't mean that we got to go to sleep thinking that wahan nahi ho raha, to hamare yahan bhi nahi ho raha. But let me tell you of what my friend says this of the world-class city. So definitely you're seeing the differences of that this government has done after in the infrastructure of Mumbai specifically, the Atal Setu, the new ceilings, the metro speed, the Trans Harbour link. So all this, there is sufficient progress that the city has done. It should take an hour and a half to reach from Bandra to Nariman Point. Today you reached in 20 minutes.
Really
so it's not that we are not transforming to a developed city.
Roads, potholes with bridges and flyovers that are being the two are different, sir.
Now this I'm afraid
I have to go to the other panelists at this point. Mr. Asif Bamla, I'll come back to you. I gave you considerable time despite Mr. Rakesh interrupting. Can I please come to Professor Anjal Prakash at this point? Professor Anjal Prakash, Mr. Asif Bamla made this point that every country in the world is buckling under natural disasters. That's a point well made. But is it made in context, sir?
I humbly disagree with the BJP spokesperson Asif Bhai, because they taken the example of Dubai. This is the first ever time Dubai has seen it, and I'm sure Dubai is at its arms to solve the problem. Mumbai, this is I'm having actually a deja vu. This is the fourth year in the row that I'm appearing in your show. Every year we discuss the same thing. Now the whole problem is that the problem is not something which is not known to the people. Let me just put this in the perspective for your viewers and listeners. There are three major problems that Mumbai is having. One is definitely heavy monsoon, and this is also the monsoon which is now climate-induced monsoon. We have had 17 millimeters of rainfall just in 3 hours, right? 170 millimeters of rainfall in just 3 hours, and last 24 hours about 200 plus millimeters of rainfall that has happened. That's about 6 inches of water, in just 3 hours, and that is across the Mumbai city. This is something which is unprecedented, but this is also not something which is not known. All the climate models have projected it. The recent IPCC report, which I was fortunately part of, has very pronouncedly predicted that this is going to happen. This is going to be order of the day. So we must be prepared for that. So that's number one. What should we be doing it? That poor drainage that we have not cleaned. There's the infrastructure that we have not revamped. And we are talking about the country which is 5th largest economy. And that is the financial capital of that economy is reeling under this kind of problem year after year after year. And that means, and this is one of the richest municipalities of South Asia and Asia. And that is where we are looking at this problem. So what are the issues that we have? The two very important is about poor drainage systems. Second is about encroachment and construction. There's a rapid urbanization without any planning. The encroachment is happening at a very local level where the local politicians, the contractors, and the people who are benefited from filling up the lakes, water bodies, common areas, that is where it is happening. So it is rampant corruption which is leading to these things. It is nothing, and climate change is a force multiplier. It comes to you as a force multiplier, and then takes it forward together. So you also have, because Mumbai is also a city which is close to the sea, there are tidal influences which also influence Mumbai's being. So that means that this is a known knowledge that we have it for years and years and years, but the politicians and the governance and whoever it is, I'm not saying today BJP is governing the issues, and tomorrow somebody else will come. But these issues will remain because there's a lack of political accountability. We have 3 chief ministers which has changed over last 3 to 4 years, and that is where the political accountability has to be fixed, and that's where I see that the problem lies.
Well, I mean, with all due respect to the political panelists who are with us, Asif Bamla as well as Rakesh Shetty, very frankly, and to their parties and to several other parties who are part of the Mumbai government, of the Maharashtra government or the Maharashtra opposition, the truth remains. Every single panelist, every single person we speak to says there is lack of political accountability. I know you all have a strong task and mandate to defend your party, to put it forward, but the truth remains this. Whether you speak to locals or to the experts in the panel, everybody has the same story. No, it's not, the onus is not on the government alone, but people can do only so much despite paying the taxes. And of course, BMC's story being extremely different. But if I can just very quickly come to you, Dr. Neville, would you spend a minute just explaining to rest of India that possibly, I mean, everybody knows Mumbai's story. Everybody knows what a financial capital means. But on a day like today, or on a day like this in 2023, or on a day like this in 2022, you know what I'm trying to say? For the last 6 years or last 10 years, every time when Mumbai comes to a standstill, what are the stakes involved? It's not possibly the richest that are affected the most. They too are affected. Climate is nobody's benefactor. But the truth also remains, it's the middle class, it's the ordinary people like you and me and so many others on the ground who are hit the most. Would you want to spend a few minutes on this?
Yes, Shreya. I mean, you're absolutely right. People living in well-constructed buildings and apartments and who have a fridge full of food and a huge bank balance. For them, it's just a few more days, of staying at home and maybe sitting across the TV or playing some games and passing their time. But what happens to the man who's on the road? What happens to the man who earns his wages, who has a meal every day because he earns every day? What happens to him? What happens to his family? What happens to those people who are basically fallen sick and there's an emergency and have to be transported to the nearest hospital? Right. How do they manage this? How can they get there in time so that they can save a life? I mean, these are, as I said, social issues which nobody talks about and nobody addresses them because their voices are so small and so irrelevant for the politicians and the powers that may be, that they are not bothered. They are only bothered about what people would say, you know, the higher class people. And the most important thing, Shreya, I want to bring to your attention is one thing has been confirmed today on your show, that every panelist on your show today confirmed that there is mass scale corruption. Now that they have confirmed, whether they are from A party, B party or C party, the question arises, and I'd like to ask them the question, what are you going to do about it, sirs? How are you going to resolve this?
Okay, I'm going to go to them with that very same question, Dr. Neville. But before that, Dr. Sudhir Krishna has been waiting very patiently. Dr. Sudhir Krishna, on a day like this, when Mumbai comes to a standstill, every panelist here has spoken about corruption, about political apathy and lack of accountability. You are a former secretary for Ministry of Urban Development. You would vouch for the mega plans that India has for its cities, particularly for cities like Mumbai. But all of it, year on year, comes crashing down on days like this.
Well, I think Mumbai has a somewhat unique position among the cities in the country because it is expanding very fast. You know, migration is very high into the city of Mumbai, and the population trajectory, if you see, over the last 20-30 years, the population has grown several folds, which is quite unprecedented in this period for any city, much less for a city of this size. So it is the largest city in the country, and therefore managing the population. You know, flooding occurs in many cities in the world. Venice gets flooded, you know, many cities get flooded, but they are not cities that are expanding, so they've stabilized over a period of time. And therefore, they have stabilized their planning and their management of the city, etc. But we are not able to, you know, match with the changing situation. Now, for example, Mumbai has spent a lot of attention and time. I mean, corruption part apart. You see, the Brimstone project, which was launched some 20 years ago in several phases, it has done good work. A lot of work has been done by the government of Maharashtra over the decades, supported by Government of India and implemented by the Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. A lot of work has been done. But the work, I have found two deficiencies. One is that the work is not done in a futuristic manner. It is done, you know, what has happened in the past and a little bit of the future. The city has, and the planning process itself, you know, the rainwater flow has to be done on a watershed basis, where the water will ultimately flow. So a master plan for drainage system of the greater Mumbai, I mean, entire island, and number one. And number two, implementation of that. The implementation means what? Implementation means the encroachments on the rainwater, stormwater drains, natural drains. They are encroached. It's a story all over the country, many cities. Wherever there are natural water bodies, be these tanks or be these the nalas, and these are encroached. And encroached not by small hutments, now by multi-story buildings. A hutment starts and then it ends up in 10 years over 4 floors, becomes a 4-floor building. And then the garbage is also dumped in that. The embankments are broken and damaged, and it shrinks, and the carrying capacity of the drainage system.
In fact, Dr. Sudhir Krishna, we're getting a breaking news at this point. Let me just go to it very quickly. And it may not be breaking news as such, but it's just so important to what we are discussing because theatrics and politics and the narrative around it is so closely weaved into what we are discussing. M&S workers are protesting by floating in water. Those are the visuals on your screen. M&S workers protesting by floating in water questioned the Chief Minister that when will we be relieved? M&S was NDA ally in the Lok Sabha elections. Those are the visuals on your screen. Asif Bamla, do you want to respond to this, Asif Bamla?
Well, I mean, this is instead of doing this, I think they should invest more time in helping people who are stuck up in this calamity rather than making optics and trying to gain mileage out of the situation where Mumbaikars are suffering, of course, due to the as we already mentioned, the climate change is again an issue which is there for not only Mumbai but for the entire world. But instead of creating and you know, trying to get some brownie points and asking what the government is doing, let them as responsible citizens also take up the mandate in helping and ensuring, rather than going and doing a photo op there and removing videos and making them viral. That's a very wrong thing on a situation like that, when the entire city is in a problem, and when the Honourable Chief Minister already instructed an orange alert.
Mr. Asif Bamla, you contested with them. You allied with them. They are your allies. They were your allies in the Lok Sabha elections.
No, they didn't contest at all. They didn't contest at all. They have not contested anyway. We have not contested with them.
But they were with you. They had supported you. They had supported the NDA.
We have fought elections. But even if they were allies, if the ally has done something wrong, that doesn't mean that we support them on such optics when the entire city is down. And then they should first. I'm surprised how the administration is not taking them into custody. They are not supposed to be doing this. In a time like this, they should be. They should not even be coming out after the orange alert is the final alert.
Mr. Rakesh Shetty, quickly respond to what Asif Bamla is saying in the visuals on your screen. Politics continues. Mumbaikars continue to pay the price.
By the IND.
Now we see this government is a very contractor-friendly government, and someone from the panel just spoke about corruption. See,
no, the contractor-friendly were the people who are now your partners.
Everyone in the panel.
The people who are your partners were contractor-friendly.
Be patient, Mr. Bamla. I'll respond to that.
The people who are your partners today, जिनके साथ आप मिलकर जो है सरकार में आने का प्रयत्न कर रहे हो, वो है.
Okay, Mr. Bamla, I'm totally out of time. You're doing exactly what I stopped Mr. Rakesh from doing a while earlier. So if you could allow Mr. Rakesh to speak, please, Mr. Bamla. Mr. Bamla, you have to respect this. Please allow Mr. Rakesh to speak. Mr. Rakesh, 40 seconds, please go ahead.
See, it is very clear and very evident what has happened. I think Chief Minister Eknath Shinde is responsible for the entire mess, because he very recently allotted the contractors 300 crores to clean the nalas. If the nalas were cleaned, this would have been the situation. And when we spoke about corruption, Bharatiya Janata Party's reputation across the country, we have seen agencies like Enforcement Directorate or CBI, who was dealing with and allegedly opposition party leaders of corruption. Later, we see all these politicians from opposition have joined the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party government, and they have given them the clean chit. And see now the BMC, if you see, there are more than 236 corporators. If today the election was done in time, this was not the situation which we would have seen.
Okay.
Because today, one man, the BMC commissioner,
okay, we're totally out of time. We are totally out of time, sir. But last word, Professor Andrel, if you could just conclude this show. And it's important because I totally understand climate change is a reality. Across the world, you have a challenge where cities, governments, administrations are not able to contain. But the truth also is this is the new reality. It's not a reality today. It started to become a reality decades ago. We heard a lot about this over the last decade. But on the ground, nothing seems to be changing. Would you very quickly tell us, if the government is listening to us, if the government is listening to you, the two top priorities for this not to happen next year, or is that too far a call?
No. This is the new normal, definitely, which we have to adhere to. But my humble request to Asif Bhai is to just get a white paper done, right? So this year, whatever you have done, and you have claimed all the tall claims of the government, whoever is in power, just bring it the white paper, which will actually put us everything on in black and white. Will give us top 9 findings of what the government is doing, right? So that next year we actually can it's an informed decision. So for me, that is what, and I'm very happy to come along with him and work towards a white paper, which is all party coming together and bringing it to the, because this problem is for everyone, right? And the bottom 40% of people are affected by this one, not the top 50 or 60%. And that means these are the people who actually vote for all of political parties, not the high class people, but mostly for the lower class people. And they are the most affected. So my suggestion actually is one is to bring a white paper that will set all the claims on ground in black and white. Second is to act on it, work on it. Over to you.
Right. I think very, very succinctly put, nothing could have been better. Mr. Asif Bamla, as Mirror Now always promises, we not only focus on the problem, we also focus on the solution. Here's an offer right to you and your government by none other than Professor Anjal and his team. They've said start with a white paper, and the civil society led by him are going to be part of this. No one better than you to move this with the government, because you would know the importance of it all. To all of our panelists, thank you very much for joining us. It is a very important issue, not just for Mumbai, but for India. And hopefully, we will see some very strong moves, starting with the election that is much due in the city of Mumbai. Thank you very much for joining us on this discussion and this debate. It's time for a very short break. On the other side, late night edition, where we bring you all the latest in the big developments of the day.